What's your take on the company culture? How companies can implement some of the sustainability practice in day-to-day lives of their employees and their culture system, and like blend that into practice for employees to deliver their work.
Yeah.
Like everything sustainable, and so that there is no extra effort being spent towards this initiative. So it is supported along with the practice.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they have to practice what they preach first and foremost.
Absolutely.
So, you can't greenwash just by throwing a green banner on your website. That's going to get called out so quickly, as we talked about. And actually, we're seeing kind of a reversal from greenwashing to what I've heard called green hushing. So that companies are actually doing a lot of these great sustainability initiatives, doing things with customers, doing them with their employees, but they're not talking about it publicly. In fact, they don't want people to find out about it because it puts a target on their back. And then people are going to, just find ways of trying to tear them down for trying, right? Because they think everything's greenwashing.
Yeah.
But to your point, there's really specific things that they can do and ask employees to do. And so the first and foremost is talk about it. So from the top, to share that it's a culture that values sustainability and the actions of employees to be sustainable is really important. So create that sort of cultural conversation within the company so that people are thinking about it and talking about it and having conversations in the lunchroom or on Zoom or Teams about what they can do. And then give some specific examples of what people can do. We all know, reuse your mugs, right? Like maybe working from home every now and then. Yeah, like don't print if you don't have to.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. Don't just like leave the faucet on in the sink in the restroom or anything like that, right? Those are just totally basics.
Bring your own coffee mugs.
Yeah. And then there's things like use LEDs instead of incandescent lights. But many companies have already started doing that. And actually knew someone who was selling renewable systems and clean tech to companies. And he said, as a salesperson, the first thing he looks at is the lights. And if they don't have LED lights, he knows they're not serious about it, and he just concludes it as quickly as possible and walks away. So if they're already practicing a little bit of what they preach, and they put something in that's obvious, that's going to save them 90% on their lighting or whatever it is for LEDs, it just makes total sense. But then to look out in the marketplace at a lot of the startups and a lot of the partners that are out there offering these things. So there's a lot of startups like Scoop, for example, or Lyft or Uber that are offering people rideshare to get to work or carpooling to the same areas. There are transportation benefits that many cities offer for employees to take transit instead of driving and skip the commute. It's safer, all these different benefits. So there are a lot of things out there. So take the time to catalog those things, find out how to access them, and make them available to your employees, or at least make them aware of them so that they can make a choice. Embed it in the company culture and get really specific about what they can do, and then practice what you preach when you're looking into your supply chain again and you're purchasing things. Purchase things that are sustainable and are recyclable and all of those things so that somebody doesn't come to work and say, I just saw the CEO talking about sustainability, but here's this like gross plastic cup that's just like going to be here for the next 1,000 years. And, I don't believe what's being said. So it's a mix of all
beating
the above.
traffic has been a big deal also, especially in this Bay Area.
Yeah.
And this, especially COVID taught us like working remotely is possible, really possible for a lot of roles that we thought like was not possible. To that same angle of like giving flexibility on the shift timing. If roles are really need office facility to perform, so timing may help, flexibility, and whatever can happen remotely, employees can still like 2-3 days a week from home. That is helpful too.
Yeah, and it's good to align those. Like think about what teams are working together so you can align their schedules when they're at work. Because it's, nothing's worse than you show up at work after a long commute and no one else is in the office because you're there on Tuesdays, they're there on Thursdays. And the synergy just isn't there. But if you can concentrate when people are coming into the office, and if your neighbors in the next office, go for a different day so you're not clogging up the roads or something like that, then you can get the best out of working together because we're human beings and we do work better when we're together, especially for creative endeavors and brainstorming and things like that. So it's good to be together in person, but you don't need to be together in person 5 days a week or just be showing face in the office, or you shouldn't have to just be showing face in the office when you're just sitting on Zoom in your cubicle, right? It doesn't make any sense. So just think strategically about how you schedule those things.
Yeah, training is a big part here. Like just giving instructions on a flyer or sending emails may not be very helpful as well. Like having, as you said, like preach what you follow. So training people on those practices are helpful too. Having like regular webinars, have people attend it, and then showcase like community services, especially. Like companies should have number of hours per employee to contribute to community in those practices that like to set good examples. And as you said, like appliances usage, right? So that showcase companies' commitment to the sustainability side. Also, as I mentioned before, also like companies can partner with other companies who have sustainable practices on their priorities list. Right? Do not encourage other kind of businesses who do not. And that will also help on that data center question. Like if you are procuring services who are sustainable focused, means like they have some degree of commitment to use hardware and solutions at their end who are helping to the planet eventually. Yep. Like a little contribution will be helpful here. Like look at their ESG score, look at their what data center they are using, like what services they are using, and if they have their statement on their website about sustainability. If not, ask for it. They may not be on the website, but still prioritizing it. Not all websites are perfect. Check all those, and then decide who to work with.
Yep.
These are small little practices, but at scale it will help a lot. Yeah,
totally agree. Yeah, and the Microsofts and Amazons and Googles of the world are seeking to differentiate themselves on those standards because they know that that's going to go into the scope 3 emissions of the company that's using that data, right? And so a lot of these companies they're selling to have to report, and they have to report more and more of their scope 1, scope 2, and now scope 3, right? Like what are we doing on site? Where does the energy come from? And then where is our supply chain sourcing and getting all of the things that it's doing? So reporting across all of those is pretty difficult for a lot of these companies, and where they get knocked is usually that scope 3, which is in this case the data center and who's supplying these third-party services. And so it's, I think, a successful approach for them to differentiate themselves based on these, and they are. And it comes back to the old saying of you can't manage what you can't measure, right? And so they're having to provide not just a logo on the website that says, hey, we're more sustainable, but to actually show it and show where are we storing this data? When are we computing it? What's our data, or what's our carbon intensity of the data that comes through this data center? And that helps the customers to better understand why you are the best choice for them to use.
And there are a lot of tools available as well these days, like calculators to based on your workload, like how much energy you can save by using vendors, those special vendors.
Yeah.
And it's easier than before lately. Like companies are very active on it.
Yeah. And I'll say, because we have to talk about AI, that there's a lot of AI and agents that are helping to report more easily. I was just up at an event in San Francisco for Climate Week, and there's a great founder named Grace Tsai running a company called Unroll Carbon, and they're using AI agents to help do a lot of the grunt work that sustainability consultants now do to collect and compile and clean that data about their emissions and their gap analysis between the regulations and what they're actually doing now and how they can get there, and even life cycle analysis, LCA analysis, so that those consultants can, instead of taking weeks, they can take minutes to gather and collect and compile that data, and they can spend more of their time actually informing the clients, thinking through the strategy and implications, and really working with like what is the more interesting part of the question is what do we do about it? So these tools are available, and they're making this analysis much cheaper, much faster, so that it's less of a burden on these companies, because as you know, it can take a lot of work and tens of thousands of dollars if you're going to pay a consultant to do it. to come in and do an audit and evaluate everything. With things like artificial intelligence that are running on data centers, they can now do that much cheaper, much faster, and it makes it more accessible for the startups of the world or smaller companies that don't need to carry that burden.
Yeah, I really have made a lot of things easier and accurate and faster. Yeah, but it comes at a cost.
Yep.